Hello, everyone. Today we will be exploring in brief some of the tools and research that we have available on the NBDB platform. Probably areas that you haven't clicked through before, or maybe you have, but maybe you don't know how to apply these tools to your overall trading experience. So I like to think of this as a way for you to cover some of the tools that are commonly overlooked, yet I'd say are quite useful to your overall decision making. So let's actually start off in the NBDB platform. So for most of the tools on our platform, they can be found under the Markets tab. But of course, every time you log in, wherever you are on the platform, you'll have your most used buttons on the top right-hand side, such as your order ticket, the transfer button, and you can also pull up a quote once you click on Get a Quote. We'll be spending a lot more time under the Markets tab, so let's actually start off with Trading Central. So we have quite a few tools offered by the Trading Central brand. We're going to cover 3 different tools under Trading Central today. It will be Technical Insight, Fundamental Insight, and the Strategy Builder. So first, for Technical Insight. When you're investing on your own, one of the biggest challenges is knowing when to buy or to sell, not just what to invest in. So this is where the Technical Insight tool comes into play. It uses technical analysis and presents it in a finding on a clear, visual, and easy to understand chart. So it essentially takes a look at all the technical events that have happened previously on a stock chart. So one thing to keep in mind is if you're looking for ideas, there are quite a few that are presented on the homepage of the Technical Insight tool, but I would say you're going to get a lot more out of the Trading Central tools here if you come with a stock already in mind. So let's actually use Costco as an example, but you can also use any Canadian and US stock, and also some ETFs are covered by the Trading Central research team. So like I mentioned earlier, the Technical Insight tool, it analyzes price movements, chart patterns, indicators, and momentum to detect any bullish or bearish signals on any security instead of you having to manually analyze that on a chart and assuming and doing your own charting of what these technical events are and what these indicators mean. So in our case with Costco, you'll see that there's already an interactive price chart. And if you take a look at the chart itself, there are quite a few green and red dots directly on the chart. So these technical events, the green dots mean bullish events, and the red dots mean bearish events. So what the Technical Insight tool does is essentially tallies up all of the technical events to then come up with a consensus on what they think Costco is trending to be in either the short term, the medium term, or the long term. And you can kind of see that the time horizons are defined on the header above. And let's say I want to see any bullish evidence as to why Costco is considered bullish in the intermediate term. I can click on intermediate and it will expand more analysis on that front. Now, let's say I wanted to actually take a deep dive into what these technical events mean on the Costco chart. So if I take a look at all of the technical events, so that I can bring up all my dots again, if I wanted to learn more about this particular technical event, I can click on it and it will show me exactly what this technical event is. It is a bullish event. It's called an upside breakout. What exactly is an upside breakout? It does break down for me when I expand on the Tell Me More, and it gives you a nice little explanation as well as some data points for the price of Costco to help support this particular bullish technical event. Now, if you don't know what these technical events mean, you can either click on each of the event one by one to view what each of these events actually mean, but there's also an integrated education center within the Technical Insight tool if you click on the education cap on the top right, it will actually show you all the different classic patterns, what they actually are, and it's a great resource for you to learn a little bit more about the concept behind technical analysis, which is essentially what the technical insight tool is powered by. So, nice little resource here. Feel free to take a look. And another thing I want to highlight for the technical insight tool is we're doing research on a particular company. So it lists out all the technical events, bullish and bearish, comes up with a consensus. But if you scroll to the bottom, you can also see support and resistant prices, as well as the stock price if you're in it for the long term. Now, we can also apply a similar approach with the next tool, which is the Fundamental Insight tool offered by Trading Central. So previously, you had the technical insight, which is powered by technical analysis. This time around, the fundamental insight tool is powered by fundamental analysis. So this tool here, it transforms large amounts of complex financial and economic data. So all of the data points that you see in financial statements, it transforms all of that into something that's more clear, visual, and actionable in terms of the insights that it provides. So the fundamental insight tool, it does help investors make more informed decisions without having to read long financial reports. So again, if you're looking for ideas on what to analyze using fundamental insight, the homepage already gives you quite a few ideas, and you can filter it out based on the country and a few other filters as well, like the sector, the market cap. And the way that the colors and the bubbles work is it's essentially based off of the Trading Central Quantamental rating. So there is a little legend here. The red symbolizes that it has a weaker quantamental rating, all the way to green, which is a stronger quantamental rating. And the bigger the circle, the bigger the market capitalization of that specific company. Now, let's say you, again, had a stock in mind and you wanted to use fundamental insight to analyze it. So let's take a look at, let's do Costco again. And here you can see a breakdown of Costco using the Fundamental Insight tool. So the tool itself, it analyzes a company across 5 different investment factors. So you have growth, value, income, quality, and momentum. So all of this is summarized into a single easy to understand score called the TC Quantamental rating. So that is on the left-hand side here. And you see that Trading Insight gives Costco a rating of 48 out of 100. So how they come up with this rating is these 5 different factors here, they give it a score for each of the factors, and then they combine it into one single rating out of 100, which is your TC Quantamental rating. And if you wanted to drill down each of these factors into more detail, let's say you wanted to take a look at why Costco is scoring a 68 out of 100 under growth, you can see that Fundamental Insight takes a look at the data points for price to earnings, revenue growth, and these are pulled from the financial statements of Costco. Same thing if you wanted to drill down the value factor of Costco, takes a look at these financial statement data, and essentially it does all of the reading and the analysis for you, other than you having to read the Costco financial statements yourself and doing the analysis for Costco. And I would say these factor scores, you can explore things like why a stock scores well or poorly on growth, like we saw earlier, maybe why the valuation of Costco looks attractive or unattractive, in our case with Costco. For income as well, you can take a look as to how Costco is performing, if it is providing a dividend or sort of income, what's the growth rate on that. And let's say you wanted to take a look at how other competitors are doing in a similar industry. If you scroll down, you'll actually see that there is the same concept of analyzing a bunch of other discount store leaders, as they call it, that are comparable to Costco, and they give you a breakdown of the quantamental rating overall, as well as the 5 different factors and how they compare to Costco. So I'd say in practice, many investors, they would use fundamental insight to decide what to buy, and technical insight is to decide when to buy. Next up on the Trading Central tools, we have the Strategy Builder. So let's say after all of that, you have a general idea on the 2 different ways that you can analyze a stock. But what if you're looking for ideas? So this is where the Strategy Builder comes in, and think of it as like a filtering tool or a screener. So if you're looking for ideas, you can take a look at the Discover section, and there's already quite a few pre-made filters that focus on specific sectors. You can take a look at some expert strategies that are more focused on certain strategies. So these are already pre-made screeners. But let's say you are looking for something, you know exactly what you want in terms of the filters, but you want to see which stocks fit the criteria. So if you click on screening, and this is where you might want to take a little bit more control of what you want to filter out. I like to click on the bulk edit tool. That way I can view all of my different criteria all on the same page. So for this Strategy Builder tool, there's a ton of different filters that you can add. And I'd say there are, I believe, over 60 different criteria. So it includes fundamental metrics, technical indicators, price and trading characteristics, and also some quantitative filters as well. So the world is your oyster here, and you can essentially just select exactly which filters you would want to add in order to find a stock that fits your criteria. Now, to sum up the 3 main tools of Trading Central, I would say the Strategy Builder tool. This is great if you're looking to identify what stocks match a certain strategy that you have in mind. The Fundamental Insight tool. This is when you would want to validate the company's the company's financial strength based on their financial statements. And then for the Technical Insight tool, this will help you with timing and managing entry or exit points for a particular stock. So it's a great use of the Trading Central tools, and you can find that under the Markets tab. Now, the next tool that we have is OptionsPlay. So OptionsPlay, this is an analysis, and I would say think of this as a tool to generate ideas. And the concept is it's trying to make trading options more understandable, make the idea more visual and more actionable. And OptionsPlay is encouraging you to do all of this without having to calculate your own factors on using your own data points. So it basically takes a scan of any actionable and optionable stocks that are out there, ETFs included as well, and it takes a look at all the optionable securities, and it suggests you different strategies that can imply options trading, and it will determine whether you would want to use options to speculate or if you're using options to generate income. So again, it's quite flexible if you're looking for ideas. So you don't know which stock to choose from, where to start. you can take a look at the open ideas on the left-hand side. But if you do already have something in mind, you can enter in the ticker symbol here, and OptionsPlay will do an analysis of Adobe in our case. So OptionsPlay, it already provides a central analysis panel. So this is this section here with the chart as well as the delayed quotes. But a couple things I would highlight just in this panel is you can take a look at the price trend. So in this case, OptionsPlay thinks that Adobe is going to be bearish in the next month as well as the next 6 months. And there's also quite an interactive chart here, a lot of customizable features. You can change the chart type, you can draw your own lines, you can also add certain studies as well. At the bottom here, you have your support and resistance prices that OptionsPlay has generated for Adobe, as well as the score or the strength of the price movement for Adobe. Now, the right-hand side, this is where OptionsPlay really stands out. So based on the market outlook for Adobe, OptionsPlay automatically presented me with 3 different trading strategies if I'm looking to speculate using options, or if I'm looking to generate some income, there is also an income tab and it'll suggest you 2 strategies for that. So each strategy, it is displayed side by side, so making it quite easy to compare. And you can see that it does compare the risk as well as the return. If you wanted to expand a little bit more on that certain strategy, you can click on it and see what the estimated cost is to enter this trade, the maximum reward and maximum risk, as well as other factors like the probability of profit. And these are strategies that you can adjust as well using the carousel at the bottom here. And I would say if you're a beginner to OptionsPlay, I do want to highlight as well that there is a guide on the right-hand side. And let's say if you were wondering what the OptionsPlay score means, if you scroll over to any of the blue flags, it gives you a nice blurb on what exactly sections of the OptionsPlay tool means in the context of analyzing an individual security. And then let's say I'm ready to trade this particular option strategy. When I click on trade, it does give me a little recipe card on how to build my order ticket, as well as a checklist before entering the trade. And for some strategies, you can also just click on the trade button and the order ticket already pops up for you. So that section there is if you're using OptionsPlay to speculate, but what if I wanted to use options to generate income? So I can also toggle to the income section here. And again, depending on whether I own shares of Adobe, it will either suggest me a covered call if I own Adobe shares, or a secured put if I do not own Adobe shares. And same concept, has all the data points for this particular option strategy, as well as the trade button. And you can also adjust your risk tolerance and time horizon for contracts for whichever option ideas you're looking to search for. Now, I would say for OptionsPlay, this is ideal for investors who understand option basics and you want something that is more of a guide to placing your first or your very next options trade. So it does a lot of the analysis for you already that traditionally you would have to do on your own. And it's great for both types of options traders. Either you're using it to speculate or using it for income generation. Now, the next tool that I want to highlight is the Wealthscope tool. So this tool here, it is subscription-based. All the previous tools are free for everyone available on the platform. For Wealthscope in particular, there is a current fee. So the fee is $12.99 for the year, but keep in mind that there is a 7-day free trial for those that are interested in Wealthscope, and it's completely optional. And I'll say for Wealthscope overall, this is a great way for you to check the health of your portfolio. So, how healthy is my portfolio? It's a great way for you to get a score of all of the holdings within your accounts. And you can also see, you can create your own mock portfolios as well. So if you manage multiple account types, if you wanted to simulate what if scenarios or what if portfolios, you can easily use the Wealthscope tool for that. So in my case, I do have a little bit more holdings in a test account that I created. So let's say I wanted to do a Wealthscope analysis for my TFSA test account. And in my test account, I have over 96% invested in equity. What is the makeup of my test portfolio? I have a good mix of both stocks, ETFs, and mutual funds. So how does my TFSA test account score using Wealthscope? So once I click on Analyze, you'll see that the Wealthscope tool does give me a score for my particular account. So I score overall a B, which is not too shabby. And you can see to your left the weighting of each of my holdings in this test account. But on the top, you can see a breakdown of how this portfolio scores. On the performance side, I get an A. Protection from the downside risk, I get an overall B. And then also there's quite a few other criteria that you can do a breakdown of how my particular account scores under Wealthscope. And in terms of how to create a mock portfolio, you can do so by going back to the home page for Wealthscope, and you can manually enter in your own mock portfolio by creating it, and then you can just enter in the ticker symbol, and you can also add GICs in your own mock portfolio. So I would say for Wealthscope, it's ideal for investors who want a portfolio level perspective. And this is great because NBDB, it is self-directed, but sometimes you do want maybe a second pair of eyes, and you want something that is analyzing your portfolios, your decision making. So Wealthscope, very great tool for that. And it's really for anyone who wants a more objective feedback on the risk, the diversification, and a few of the other factors that Wealthscope does take a look at. And in terms of enrolling in Wealthscope, if this is something that you're interested in, you can always visit your profile, and there is a subscription tab to enroll in Wealthscope. All right, after that, you have the research section. So this is where you'll find all of the research that we have available. And I'm just scrolling over the research tab first. But this is where we offer research from two companies. We have research from our own in-house team at National Bank Financial, and we also have research offered by Morningstar. So let's take a look at a few of my favorite reports. So under the publication section, you'll see that there are quite a few reports that you could read up on. So it could be individual analysis, recent analysis for certain stocks that look quite interesting, or you can do technical analysis. So these are more so insights. We also offer ETF research and stock research for either stock pick lists or individual research on certain stocks as well. So I'd say, for example, let's say you're interested in dividend paying stocks that are Canadian, and you wanted something that was easy to follow, almost like a guide on ideas to invest in that check off my dividend paying criteria. So you might want to take a look at the Morningstar Canada income list. And once you click on the link, and then you can download the PDF, and the Morningstar list should look something like this. So this one in particular is the Canada Income Pick List. So as you can see, it sticks to the Morningstar criteria. And for this particular list, it's a monthly list. So what Morningstar does is it compiles all of their Canadian dividend paying companies, sorts them out under consider to buy, consider to hold, consider to sell, and it ranks them out of 5 stars. So the higher the stars, it means that the company is undervalued in the eyes of Morningstar. And what I mean by that is, for TELUS, for example, at the publication of the report, TELUS was trading at around $17.88. But according to Morningstar and their analysis, they do think that TELUS should actually be trading at $30 a share. So given its current price, it's undervalued compared to what they think TELUS should be trading at, which is why it gets a 5 out of 5 star. And since our focus is dividends, you'll notice that the dividend yield is on the right-hand side, and this particular list is focused on Canadian dividend paying income. Now, if you scroll down, you can also see how this particular portfolio, if you were to follow it step by step every month, how it compares to the TSX 60. So you'll see that there are some moments where the portfolio underperforms, and then there are some moments that it also outperforms the TSX. So a great way for you to gather some ideas, especially if you have dividends in mind for your portfolio. The next research report that I would want to highlight is, this is more so for our ETF research. So there is a section here. So once you click on this link to essentially a master list of all of the ETF related research that is provided by National Bank Financial. So there's quite a few here, but one that I do want to highlight specifically, that is the Exchange Traded Funds list, Canada and US. So I'd be doing an injustice if I didn't mention this report, but this is one of my favorite research reports pertaining to ETFs. You'll find both Canadian and US listed ETFs, and think of this as an encyclopedia for you to find the different ticker symbols that are related to a specific ETF sector or a strategy that you're looking to implement. And this PDF is interactive as well. So let's say you were looking for Canadian ETFs that are focused on large cap companies. You can take a look at the ticker symbols that are suggested, as well as the name of the company, the estimated assets under management, but most importantly, on the right-hand side, the type of strategy that these ETFs apply. Another way for you to use this report is if I have some keywords in mind. So for example, let's say I wanted to take a look at ETFs that trade crypto or maybe a Bitcoin-based ETF. You can also do a control find, type in your keyword, and it will bring you to particular ETFs that are focused on Bitcoin in this case. If you're interested in certain sectors, again, you can do it as a control find, or you can also take a look at the different categories, again, both in Canadian and US. Let's say I'm looking for, instead of Bitcoin, I'm looking for crypto-based ETFs. I clicked on the link and it brings me to the section on all the ETFs that are crypto related. So it's a great little report for looking for ideas on particular ETFs if you already have a certain sector or strategy that you wanted to implement. Now, another publication that I want to highlight, this one is for those who want to do a little bit more research on the overall economy, certain sectors. Take a look under the Research tab again, under Economy and Strategy. There is a particular report that you'll find interesting, and this is the Vision Monthly Report. And it should look something like this. So this is a very comprehensive research report where it takes a look at the overall economy as well as a breakdown of certain sectors, all in one easy to digest research report. So you can take a look at both the economy for Canada, the US, or internationally. And there are quite a few interesting tidbits, something for everyone. And this is great if you're looking for more research on a broader scale. So not so much individual stocks, more macro. So research on, or I would say, opinions and outlooks on certain sectors, how the overall economy is doing. And again, this can be found for free under the Research tab, under the Publications, and Economy and Strategy. All right, so some last few pointers before we wrap up. So a lot of the tools, again, they are found under the Markets tab. So the Trading Central tools, OptionsPlay, Wealthscope. Under Markets, when you scroll over it, gives you those options. Under Research, this is where you'll find all of our research reports offered by Morningstar and National Bank Financial. Now, if you're looking for additional content, take a look at our website at nbdb.ca. I'd like to highlight the Learning Center here, another great resource if you're looking for articles, short and sweet, on various investment topics and strategies. You can also take a look at our webinars, because we do host webinars that go into more detail on certain tools and sections of the platform. And also, if you take a look at our YouTube channel, so a ton of the tools that I mentioned earlier, we actually have individual videos that dissect each of those tools, like Technical Insight, Wealthscope, OptionsPlay. So all of this you can find on our YouTube channel. And with that said, I hope you all learned something today, and that concludes today's webinar on the tools and research section offered by National Bank on the NBDB trading platform, and hope to see you on the next video. Thank you and take care.